Don't say, yeah.
It's okay, Misty, I'll take them. You want my first packs? I got 2 packs. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Buddy,
How are you?
good? Yeah, it was what it was. I told Terry afterwards, I'm like, definitely need a redo. Nobody got to mingle.
Oh.
You know, when it's in a restaurant like that, everybody just kind of filed in and sat with who they sat with, and there was no mingling. I kind of felt bad that we didn't get to move around and kind of visit. Like Leo's wife was there, and I don't really know her that well.
Right.
I don't know.
I like.
Yeah. Or even if we did it at the clubhouse
Right.
and we could mingle a little bit and just us are there.
Right.
Oh, I told Terry, I'm like, I think we should redo.
Right.
Food was good though. Yeah, the service was really good. Well. No stretch. I'm like, what?
Doesn't surprise me.
No, I know.
Doesn't mean that we have to like it though.
Not really. I mean, it was kind of like.
Right.
It's-
Right.
That's weird that Terry wasn't in because of tagging.
All right.
Oh, good thing you made it. He did have to leave for about an hour or so. We'll check the farm and come back. He's good.
Decent turnout.
Think so.
Fire department Christmas party. Arch. Orleans.
Arch. Cool. Who's the fish guy?
Did we talk about it on the calendar? I don't remember what date it is.
Last Sunday of April.
That's what I thought, because I had someone ask.
I'm just excited that it's back.
Mhm.
I've been getting bugged about doing a crawfish boil again. And I'm like, oh,
Let's start with.
I know. I'm not right now. Yeah.
6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. All rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got everybody, Christina?
Yes.
And we will need to approve tonight's agenda.
They need to add this warning invoice to the bill report on the consent agenda. That's,
Okay,
it came in finally, it was 4 o'clock, so you won't see it in the report under the consent agenda. We added it. Water.
all right.
I move to approve the consent agenda plus the core and main invoice.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Let's see, all items on the consent agenda will be passed with one motion unless there is something that someone wants to remove from the consent.
Motion to approve the consent.
Okay, motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? No. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Consent is passed. We have the one for the Blackduck Forum. Taking that as no. So we'll move on to item 5. Chamber of Commerce wood covers, back with that.
Good evening. I'm Dwight Callaghan, the president of Blackduck Development Corporation. I have team tonight with Jacob Lee, who's representing people from the BASH. The wood carvers, individuals were not able to make it tonight because of prior commitments. But what we are have been talking about is trying to come up with a location of a performance stage at the Wayside Rest. Permanent structure of some sort that would be available for use by the general public. We have a need apparently at the cache. There's been portable stage has been brought in at times and other things elevated in some way, like a flatbed trailer. And the wood carvers have not used the stage, but are getting in more into the music. And they've been renting floor space, basically, where a portable floor comes in and it's on uneven ground, and they try to get the band to set in that, and then they buy a canopy. And so the idea is to try to have a location at the site, the Wayside Rest, where it would be a permanent location. We talked about trying to make it as maintenance free as possible, that it would be essentially a 4-wall building with a roof on it that would be secured when not in use, so that there would be as little possibility of entering the building or creating any vandal type issues. It would be a bare building. There would be room for basically just for the performance of the event, whatever it happened to be. And it would be under lock and key. We've talked about having it, like I said, maintenance free as possible, available for anybody to use it. It would become a building that would be a nice site for music, other types of performances. You had your winter light ceremony down at the Wayside Rest, as I understand it. We were standing on picnic tables talking to people. It would give you a place to stand and to address the audience. You could have other events there, such as maybe a concert series or public performance of some sort. I know that there's a talent show of some sort that ASH has. Currently, it's at the school. This would be maybe a prime location for that to be held, rather than moving it off the site. You could leave it on site. You could open it up to considerably other uses beyond this. It's kind of up to your imagination as to how you want to use it. So we've talked a lot about how to fund this and make this happen, because we don't want this to be a burden to the taxpayer as far as building the structure. So we have received, I think the packet might show it, but we did receive a commitment of a $35,000 donation from the Moon/Pasco family. Glennis Moon, who was a longtime resident of Blackduck, felt very strongly when she heard about this potential project that she wanted to be part of it, and, as kind of a legacy, if you will, offered to make this sizable donation of $35,000. So with that in mind, we took it upon ourselves to further do some research, and we went to Northwoods Lumber with basically a general idea of what we wanted, but no real design in mind. We've gone through 3 or 4 different types of designs, and ultimately we basically came down to a 20 by 28 building. And it's, like I said, self-contained. And our initial bid came in at, for the materials alone, as I don't know if you got this sheet here or not. It did indicate that the building materials on their initial bid was around $34,000. It's amazing what things cost today, because essentially we're talking about building a 1.5 stall garage. We also thought, rather than trying to rely on volunteer labor to build this, we would have the labor bought and paid for, and that would include hammering and nailing, the pouring of cement for the pillars of the structure, the electrical wiring, and so on and so on. So as you can see, we're talking about a proposed budget based on this size of a building in the $70,000+ range. very sizable number. But that's the realities that we're living with. We have an ADA compatible with the ramp attached, a 30-foot long ramp. To make it cheaper, we can build it out of wood. We did look into buying an aluminum ramp. That would be completely maintenance free then, but of course, that's going to add about another $9,000 to the project. So we do have a $25,000 commitment from this family. We do have a $1,000 commitment from the wood carvers. So we have a ways to go if we stick with this type of a structure. We have considered writing some grants. We've looked into that. There are other areas, other places we could go, such as to the electric, Autonomy Electric, Northwest Foundation, which is a big opportunity, the Development Corporation here in town, Region 2 Arts Council. There's the Firemen's Relief Association, and of course, we haven't even tapped the idea of having a local fundraiser of any kind of. The idea is to try to get this thing up and going sometime this year. So, perfect world, it'd be ready to go by wood carvers or the bash. Of course, that's a perfect world, so we'll see how that goes. But what we wanted to do here tonight was kind of let you know what we're doing and kind of give you an idea of what we've done so far, and then give you an opportunity to maybe ask some questions. I know Jake has got a couple of things he wanted to touch base on.
Yeah, so kind of the first thing is just the actual location. So here's just a Google Maps overview of the park. You can see in the corner here where our proposed location would be. It's just off the edge of Cedar Ave there, kind of the southeast corner. Two different reasons we like that location is you're opening that is playing towards the highway, not into town, not towards the nursing home, anything like that. As somebody that has played in that park, anytime you play towards town, the cops are showing up because they're complaining that people aren't happy about it. So that's our biggest thing, is that if wherever it goes, that should be something to take into consideration, is what way your noise is going to be projecting. Other nice thing is when you're set up there, you are playing into the park, no matter if it's wood carvers, the bash, whatever. You're playing towards your event, not away from people. Other nice thing is the TAR's right there, so you do have a dance floor per se. Also, like wood carvers, bash, in case maybe you could block that road so that your performers can get in and out if you're changing events during the day. Kind of the other nice thing, at least what I'm looking at, is electrical would come from the bathhouse, most likely. And Beltran Electric would have to upgrade to a larger service, but that's not a big deal because we can, I say we as in me, entrench the power from there, and we just work with local electrician for that, most likely Donnie. Otherwise, that's kind of our quick location overview. That's probably the one yours look like in the package, just more printer friendly. This is just kind of a front view of what the stage would potentially look like. On the right side there is just the stairs that would go back in. Just your kind of your man door. Off to the left is your ramp. That would be your ADA compatible. Like Dwight said, that's about 30 feet long. So is a little bit longer than the building itself, but that way you can reach out to the pavement, that type of thing. Here's just kind of a quick overview of the floor plan as it sits today. Again, you'll notice the stairs on the left side, ramp on the right. These angled pieces here are for nothing more than to provide a coverage for any performers if they walk off the stage, store equipment, things like that. Basically just a wall. Otherwise, it is an 18-foot opening. Thought is we would do barn doors on there, because if you do an overhead garage door, it's going to be potentially an issue for anybody that has lighting, that type of thing. Just a side view. It does show a window in that door, but it would not be that way in real life. Just one more thing for people to break. So it'd just be a solid door. Again, you can see the ramp stairs there. Otherwise, that's just kind of a quick overview of location, building layout, things like that. I think all those are in your packet. If you have other questions, I do have big printouts too. I can leave behind too.
Love that.
Comments, questions?
We said it was 18 feet.
The opening for the stage would be
For the
18.
stage. 18 feet.
I will say this, that I think we are extremely adaptable because we're suffering from sticker shock just like everybody does now. So, you know, we may not be able to go 28 feet wide. You may have to go 16 feet wide. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that, you know, you might not be able to go 20 feet deep. You're going to have to go with something different. But I think our contention is that this is something that is really needed, has been needed in our community. It'll help draw people to town. It'll provide a central location or a location for community events that we certainly can use. And let's face it, the more events, the more things that we can do inside of our community, the better off this community is, plain and simple. And have a Saturday morning magician show up, you know, for the kids. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do. Different clubs could use them for public performance of some sort. We've got a high school drama club that's very active. We've got speech kids that are active. I know that there's churches that have been using their wayside routes for events as well. So it opens up more possibilities that can be used. Whereas right now you really have nothing, and everything would have to be brought in to it and to make something like that happen. And that's expensive because it's only for that event and you're done. This is for generations.
There's no time frame on the donation?
I
Like it has to be
think-
used by,
To my knowledge, no. But I certainly would say that the longer this drags out, you do run some risk of potentially having that change. Now, this is a pledge. This is an intent that they've written a letter of intent. To my knowledge, Glennis has signed it. It just hasn't been delivered to me. So once the check is written and we have the check, the goal, you know, then we're good forever. Then it's not a refundable deal. This is something that we would get. So then it would be up to us to try to generate the rest of the money. And this is what we're going to try to get done.
certainly like to see it happen.
And so let's say it happens, and so the building becomes whose responsibility to maintain and organize, and how does that go? Do we have any insurance increases because we have a structure? Do we have, I mean, is there more things coming that we're not talking about? Liability, we've got
Answer
people
would be
on there.
yes.
Yes. Who's gonna?
Yes, you're going
carry
to have
that
more,
liability
that
insurance?
there's going to be more expense, obviously. There, you know, you can add things, you're gonna pay for it. I'm assuming the city would take over ownership.
It would be our intent to turn the key over to you at the point when it was completed, and it would become, I mean, once it's started on community property, then it's a community issue, period. But our intent would be to try to have it started and done in a relatively short period of time, so that it would become a formal handover to you, to the city.
Okay.
Then it would be up to the city to manage it however they want to manage it. We would help. We would lose all rights to have any control of it other than saying, well, we hope you appreciate it. I mean, it's a, no, don't take this wrong, but sorry to use my language, but it's a hell of a nice gift. You know, I mean, it just is a tremendous gift from some concerned citizens that really want to improve our community.
Well, I guess at this time, I think I'd like to maybe table it for a work session and hash it all out. If the rest of you want to.
Yes.
I would say that if the council has questions prior to the work session, that would be something that you would want to propose to Dwight and Jake so that they come back with the answers instead of being
Exactly.
unprepared for your work session. Yes.
So,
Dwight, I mean, when me and you spoke, or you and I spoke, you had talked about maybe having hate to pull out.
At one time, yes, we did. We had talked about, as I said, we had several different designs. We realized that we were going to have some mechanical issues with that would probably create other issues down the road. And so follow the KISS theory, you know, so we're trying to keep it as simple as we can and as user-friendly as possible. To add an engineering part to it where it's slid out or it folded down, or, you know, I can just about imagine smashed fingers, you know, whatever the case may be. And this was a way to say, slide a door open, slide a door shut, and, you know, use it however you want to. Can't get any simpler than that.
What's the idea for the foundation?
At this time, we'd be about 30 inches off the ground, and we would pour, I think it was decided that there would be 6 pillars into the ground, below the frost line. So I suppose, I'm guessing 5-6 feet, something like that. And then it would be attached to those pillars. Probably some skirting around it, so that there would be no access by animals or kids, or try to keep it as, it's not going to be insulated. You know, you're going to have the bare minimum of lighting in there, and then lots of electrical plug-in opportunity, because you're going to need that for amplifiers and whatnot. Most of the time too, is that type of event, if you're going to have a, let's say a night event, people are going to bring their own lights and set them up off the stage outside and shine them into it. So, you know, that would have to be set up by whoever was performing. Again, trying to keep it as simple as you can.
Are you,
This would have to go in front of the planning commission to approve.
no? Not unless the council wanted it to be. I mean, honestly, it's use of the land is exactly what it's for.
Okay.
It's for public use and it's for entertainment, which is the way side is. The only question that I would have is the grade of the area of the proposed location. And how much you've got behind that, Max, that's usable land. And what could happen in a real
Are
wet
we
year.
dead set on location?
Not necessarily, just the reason I picked that location was just because of noise complaints, proximity to power, and things like that.
If you wanted to say it had to be somewhere else, I think we would have no choice but to accept your choice. My whole goal here was just to get the thing built so that it's available, period. You know, if it's across the yard and the other way and heading back into town, that's up to the city, because they're the ones that are going to have to deal with it from now on. We're just trying to make it, again, convenient and easy for everybody to use and not create any other issues on the road.
So that would be my suggestion. Hold off, talk about it at the next work session, that and, you know, funding. We're trying to help.
My
some.
question is, if it's on the city, does it have to go out to bid?
Once it gets over a certain dollar amount of threshold, yeah,
Is this below that threshold?
it's below it. It's
So-
125,000 is the
So
threshold.
let's just say that it stays below 125. So we could find, the city wouldn't have any problem as long as they were licensed and all that stuff. And
Well, and the makeup of the donations and where it's stemming from isn't city. It's an independent organization.
well, that's this, I mean, that's just how you, I'm presuming that any donation to this would be tax deductible, provided that it was made up to the city of Blackduck.
Is it the intention that the fiduciary responsibility would be the city and they would accept the revenue and the donations and then pay the bills?
Well, as I understand it, the Bash, which is the branch of the CNC, and the Carvers already run under
Under
the
the
city,
CC.
or they run under the CNC. So the checks have to be made out and handled by the CNC then? And then after it's all funded and constructed, then it would be turned over?
Yeah,
So the CNC is a tax exempt organization, right?
right.
So any donations to that fund would be tax deductible to the party who make.
Correct.
Well, I'll throw it out back at you folks. Would there be any interest in donating to such a wonderful?
We got the tax guy here. huh?
We've got the liability insurance, the utility.
I think, just the willingness to listen to us period is a big thing for me. And I mean, I think it's, the question I'm getting is that there's nodding heads and.
Oh, I think you're looking at a bunch of people that are in favor of something like this,
And we just want to do it right.
and we want to
do
make it
one
happen.
time, Right.
Yep.
We want to do it one time. We don't want to create other issues for anybody. We're just trying to make it into a user-friendly, community-friendly venue that it can be used.
I would just like to know, Mike, how wet does that get back here?
Well, it depends on the year.
Mm-hmm.
We just went through and cleaned it out back there to try to avoid some of that stuff. I mean, it really all depends. I could talk to you for a long time about it, but I figure if we're gonna do this at a workstation or a work session, that's when I'll bring my thoughts on things.
That's a question that we need to address. So,
Because have you guys considered, I mean, you mentioned dance floor, Jake, but have you considered seating? And where that location might be? I mean, if we're envisioning this as to be, come and watch, something entertaining in the evening. I pictured camp chairs and blankets and that type of stuff, much like you've done at the football field, and you've done movie night for kiddos. I have envisioned that, and I personally would rather put a blanket down on grass than on the cement or the asphalt.
Right, but again, if you went to, Bemidji does a deal, I think Park Rapids does one, where I think Park Rapids is actually on one of the main streets in town.
Okay.
So their idea is just bring your lawn chair and sit. If you want to sit, otherwise they stand and mingle, and
Okay.
they put out table stools, people
Right.
sit around and drink, have their beverages or whatever. Bemidji, they do it at the waterfront,
Right.
but when it's canceled, then it moves to Ridges downtown.
Okay.
So, and that's a portable stage, both of them, I think they have to even use the same stage. So, I agree with you. I think in the long run, it's more comfortable to sit on grass, but based upon the view, you still would have a lot of area in the circle area. You could you could put your lawn chairs up closer, but I mean, it's going to depend on what you're hosting and what's going to be going on too. There's a lot of movement to that east side of that west side of the building there that can be grassy, and it's not that far from the stage. So, but you could always rip that up and make it grass. No, I'd say there's lots of room for a building. You can argue all day long about where it should go.
I know that you said that you guys have done portable stages, but, what about that didn't work, and why couldn't you build something like that you could just pull in?
So the biggest thing with portable stages, the ones that like Bemidji uses, Park Rapids, Grand Rapids, all them, it's a semi. And so they pay a company to rent that all the time, not them.
Right.
I want to say Halifax owns it, but that's kind of irregardless. Collier School has an old portable stage. And the reason it's old is if you're not putting on concrete every time, they bend, all that kind of stuff, so it's just ongoing maintenance. So when we don't have a concrete spot to put it, it's all pavement, an older pavement at that, I wouldn't recommend putting a portable stage on the surface.
So then what if we somehow built a spot for it to be parked at? Like cement,
Sure. I
then
think,
it
again,
wouldn't
I think
affect
we're,
other things.
personally, I'm open to suggestions.
Even just the slab for where the tires are or whatever.
I mean, at the end of the year, the Development Corporation looked at possibly just buying a portable stage and giving it to the wood carvers. But a 24 by 12 stage was like $20-some thousand. And that's a lot of money to spend for a stage that might be used and have to tear down and put back up, but they're not built to just stay there permanently. Constructed out of that stuff, you know, even outside.
Then we gotta find a place to put it.
And then you'd have to store it and then pull it out and then set it up again the next time. So that's why we thought, well, maybe we just went ahead and started talking about a building. I know that I've talked to Bash people for 5 years about this, and this idea has been floating around. And now that the wood carvers are finally able to include music in there again, it was like, well, it's time to do something that's going to create an opportunity here. Like have a permanent venue where more than just those two events can use it.
Yeah. Well, let's say that that isn't a good spot and we find that the foundation isn't good there and we aren't able to build it there. And as you said, putting it in other areas would then make the sound get into the neighbors. Then if your only option was a portable stage, is that something that could work out?
I would say then it would lean back to the city as to what they want. I mean, the wood carvers don't have any money, period. They run this whole thing on a very, very narrow shoestring. The Bash is completely reliant upon what they do at their one event. I'm trying to facilitate this for these two with this extra donation so that this becomes something of a reality.
Yeah,
That's
and
what's going
is
on.
the donation stipulant on
Yes,
being actual?
I think if we told them that it was just to buy a portable stage, the donation never would.
Okay. Okay.
I believe that that's the case, that they would have never even, the idea is that this is a legacy.
Yeah.
This is something that family can point to and touch and be proud of, that they've been able to contribute. In them, the Pathco, the Moon family, they've been a part of this community for 75 plus years in one form or another. And their roots are deep and their roots are strong and they have a lot of pride in Black. And this is their way of maybe giving back to the town and making it something that people can enjoy for a long time and still have a legacy.
Okay.
Anything else this evening, or you can wait for the work
I
session?
have one more question.
Okay.
Jake, if the city chose to move its location to that southern area where we've done, you know, the tug of war and everything for Bash, is it potential to run the electrical towards Frontage Road? Is there not another utility box on the Frontage Road side, Mike, am I mistaken, in that bush below the
I think there is, I'd have to go
the
and
Four
double check,
Horse
but I know that there's electrical running right underneath the post spot right there.
for the lights?
Yep.
The biggest thing is just get it behind somewhere where there's already city power, so it's not another service you're paying monthly for. So wherever that comes from is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us know when you're ready to meet again.
The work session.
Yeah, the scheduled work session is on 21st at 6 o'clock. So I'll make sure Paige puts it on the agenda, Max.
We'll see about that. I'm a little tied up this time of year.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Trying.
Well, you're gonna need to take a break from all that, you know.
I just did. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you.
I'll make sure Paige gets it on the work session.
The personnel committee recommendation is not under your administrative report.
That's correct. So the personnel committee had a meeting last week, reviewed a couple of items, and then some old business that didn't get finished up from our meeting at the end of 21. And are recommending these two personnel policies for non-union employees to amend the holiday personnel policy to those that receive paid holidays to include the new federal holiday Juneteenth. And then also to update and amend the leave personnel policy. And that amendment is on page 5 of that attachment to change the language so employees may accrue vacation leave up to 2 times the annual accrual rate instead of 1.5 times. So the committee is recommending these changes and requesting final approval from council.
Any questions on this? Well, then I will make the motion to approve the new language for the holiday and leave personnel policy. Do I have a second?
We have a second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And passes. Which brings me to poor Mike, who's not had any snow plow.
For 3 days now. I don't really have much for you guys this round, other than the bill that's on your deal there. That was kind of the 23rd hour this afternoon, so it wasn't able to make it into the bill batch along with everything else. But then you already kind of passed it through with the agenda there. It was added on. That is for, I think we've talked a little bit about it, the water meter issue that we've been having on some of these larger meters with the radio reads not working. So what we've been having to do for 8, 9, 10 months, something like that, at least, is go around to each of these places and actually physically get in, crawl to wherever the meter is, get a reading off of it, come back. So these fix that finally. Unfortunately, the way these are set up, it's a battery that's within the guts of the meter itself. So you have to shut everything off, take it all apart, redo it. We ordered them forever ago. They're finally here. We can get them fixed. But what we need, or what I need actually, is for my public works committee to get together. Because what we need to do is we need to discuss whether we're going to pay for these or if the business is going to pay for them. I believe the language at one time stated that the business would pay for their meter that gets installed. Well, with this battery, we're going to be doing this every 10 years. And we're not the only city around doing it. I mean, it's nationwide, everybody's using this same thing. So we need to get together and we need to hash out how we're going to build this. Are we going to eat the payment? Are we going to pass it along? Are we going to 50-50 it? What are we going to do?
So just to stem off of that, in 2007, when all of the meters and the technology to read them remotely was installed, that was bonded at the city, sunsetted in 2017, it was a 10-year note. Included the cost for the radios, the electronic handheld, and the installation, the cost for the labor to install all of these meters. That obviously the city paid for, and it was all done in 2017. But unbeknownst to this administration, did it need or have, I guess, an expiration date on it in terms of its life expectancy? So there's some clarification in the language on our policy. Right now, our charges and fees only state that we charge an owner for a replacement meter at cost. there's no other clarification if that recipient is charged due to a malfunction on their part or replacement due to something like this. I think it's necessary for the city to have that policy updated and the language reviewed so that it can be clear moving forward to future administrations as well. So that we're not, we're doing our due diligence, but we're not hitting the taxpayer with a bill that is unbeknownst to them. If you're a new homeowner and all of a sudden the meter goes out, or a new business owner, and you're gonna get charged a few $100s for something that you had no intention. It's, having these meters is a win-win for the recipient as well as the city. It's an efficiency.
How much are they a piece?
Depends on the
There
size,
was
right?
10 of them on there, and I think it was
$300.
$3,200, so $220 a piece. And that's literally just one part of the meter though. That's, I mean, if on these larger 2-inch and 3-inch meters, you're getting up there. I mean, it's $1,000 meter.
Okay.
So that's kind of the need for, like Christina said, the clarification on language so that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
It's unified going forward.
So there's a guideline.
I'm not quite sure. Honestly, it should have been done, especially knowing that this was going to take place and had to have known that these batteries were going to go out in 10 years. So we just need to rectify it now and get it right.
Who's on Public Works?
So that is Mike and myself, Don and Nick.
Okay.
So right now I'm proposing April 7th, which is a Thursday. Time could be, depending upon availability. I presume afternoon is probably best for both Don and Nick.
What day of the week is that?
That's a Thursday.
Yeah, afternoon.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
So I know about what time you both get off. So I
Okay.
figured 3 o'clock would be great.
I'll send a invite reminder out and I've asked Mike to look into some other cities and even reaching out to Minnesota Rural Water for any language that we might be able to utilize and not reinvent the wheel.
Other than that, for my department, I don't really have much for you guys. The snow has let up, so we're thankful for that. We're getting ready for the thaw, trying to move some of it around so that it can go where it needs to go. That's about it, really, for me. If any of you guys have any thoughts, questions, concerns,
Thank you.
statements, anything?
Thank you.
County will be moving snow.
Yep, they're gonna be getting after it early tomorrow morning along Main Street and possibly over by the school.
Yeah, there's signs up.
Yeah, they'll be getting some of that out. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with normal towing of cars early in the morning when this happens, but signs are out early enough. Everybody should know they're parking between them. So that's their deal, I guess.
I'll give you a little public recognition. I did receive a couple nice comments, for you guys moving snow off the sidewalks, that kind of stuff.
We appreciate
The
it.
extra stuff that you're doing with the snow.
We try to get around
Just wanna
when we
let you
can.
know.
That's, when we originally purchased that equipment and the stuff that goes along with it, that was the talk of doing what we could, time permitting, to just help the community, help the people of this town. So I know it's taken us a while this year, but it's also snowed a lot this year. So we're getting there, but thank you. That's nice to hear, and I'll relay that to the guys as well.
Anything else for Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I have a quick little, just,
Uh-oh.
how are we doing? This is just a little sheet that has the first 2 months of this year on it. And this is just raw sales, but I just want to let you know how the addition is doing. So when people are asking, hey, was it worth it? Is it good? Is it, is good things happening with it? So as you can tell, I got January and February on there. From last year, 2021, to this year, 2022, in January, we had a 12% sales increase. Oops, I'm sorry. Just don't trip. We had 12% sales increase. That's really, really good. February was better yet. We had a 16% sales increase over 21. So the fact that the off sale is larger, the fact that we have a kitchen, we've done a tremendous amount of food in these last 2 months. So we're really looking forward to summer, seeing what that'll bring. Hoping that $5 gas doesn't keep everybody away. I mean, fingers crossed.
Well, we can't go there here, but.
Well, you know what I mean, just, you know, so. Right, well, you know, maybe we rent bicycles and have bicycles in the bar. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that with you, see how the trend is going, that this is, if asked, you know, because I know that you're in the community and they're like, what are you doing? It is sales. Yeah, and it's just a simple thing. I mean, it's raw sales. It doesn't have, you know, on the bottom of our sheet that Christina provides, gives you a little small snapshot. But this is pretty, I like it, kindergarten. Here it is. We have a couple things coming up. We're going to obviously have Chamber Bingo in March.
Yes, I'm volunteering for that.
We've got a band coming in, the Empty Cooler Band that was at the bash. Ricky was very excited about them. I told him we'll give them a shot. March is traditionally our super slow month, so try to get some people to come in. Spring Fling is the theme. We're also doing just kind of a little bit mellower St. Patty's Day thing, but we will be having Rubens all that week for Reuben lovers. Yeah. If you guys have any questions?
Kudos on using the sign for the community ed stuff.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That's something, if you guys have a event in town, no problem getting that up there, on there. We were kind of inundated with them. So we're trying to, I got a couple more there, but we try to spread them out a little bit.
They wouldn't get a hold of you?
But she sent it with somebody and it was taped to our door. So I assume that that's what they wanted us to do with it, but
Good enough.
yeah,
Get it there.
yeah. So, I mean, people can drop it off to Christine and she can put it in my mailbox too. So that works fine.
Yep.
You guys have any other questions? We've had some really good, impressive compliments on our kitchen, our cooks, that food is good, best burgers. Like, we had to come by because somebody told us about them. So, you know, making a name for ourselves.
Thank you. I have one other little thing, and that was on that, in the consent agenda. I didn't want to beat a dead horse.
Can I?
We're thinking it's the LG report.
Correct,
Okay, all right. So,
but it's not.
I was gonna give you that. You guys can take a look at it and, yeah.
Okay. I was just gonna make a suggestion. The between you guys and the fire department.
Yep.
Whoever's doing just get together.
Yep, we actually did. We did some conversation.
We had a good conversation with Adam today. That is why you're seeing right there. That is a product of our discussion with him this afternoon about this.
Okay.
So it is being addressed, and obviously we're going to stay in much more communication going forward.
And thanks again. Oh, Misty.
You're waiting for approvals. Like this. I'm climbing a grease wall, so I've been down there cleaning and that's about all I can do.
All right, well,
So you guys asked at the work session that she provide the proposal she brought at the work session to this meeting to
Yep.
discuss and approve potentially the point of sale system addition.
all right, so the dollar amount would be,
So hardware was 1288. It's on that summary sheet of
Yeah.
Misty's. Plus the receipt printer, the cash drawer, and the credit card machine. And then the software through Club Caddy, which is her recommendation. The setup. So out of pocket, obviously, is the hardware at this time. And the setup. So that she can get that ordered and be ready to go at opening. I got a total, Misty, the hardware of 1,937. Does that sound right to you?
good. I'm gonna take Bobby Joe's calculator total.
So I'm curious if you have actually researched any other software and how you came to just the Club Caddy.
I explained that at the work session already. I did go through 4UP. That's another, basically the exact same thing. Some small minor details that are different. The reason I chose Club Caddy was, or what do I say? Club Caddy was, I said the support. I liked the support and it was cheaper. And I know I'm on like a complete, like beer bottle budget. So I chose them because they're cheaper and because of the support. And yes, I did look at a whole bunch of other ones. And I did also look at ones that were not golf specific. I was looking at the Clover and the Square and other ones like that, but they all came with fees. And it just didn't make a lot of sense to me not use a golf specific one where they could do their tee times online.
Okay. I actually started out having lots and lots of questions for you, but they all got answered. So I looked at all the numbers and stuff.
Would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the Club Caddy point of sale software and hardware.
You want us to put a dollar
For
amount on that?
$1,937.06
For the hardware.
for the hardware and the $500 set.
With the $250 a month.
With the $250 a month.
I mean, you don't have to have all the specifics, but everything was discussed. In the packet, so.
Yeah.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No.
I don't have any further questions. All those in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, Misty can get to work.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, I just now they're cleaning. I did talk to the health department. I'm still trying to look forward towards the food, changing that food up. And my linoleum flooring is not legal, but she said if I have a plan in place of how I plan in the future to change it, she said that she would probably pass me on it upon coming up and making sure that it was clean and everything like that, you know, and it looked okay. So, and then we did talk about, I started filling out an application, which I backed out of it because she wanted some details that I couldn't give her, because I had to do like a little drawing and like show what I want to do with the sinks and stuff like that. It would change me to a category 2, because I asked her, I said, you know, what category am I applying for? And she said, doing the changes would give me a category 2 food license. And then I asked her just like off the cuff, I'm like, do you know what I need to change my liquor license? And she said, I think it's category 2. So I was like, that kind of gives me more of a kind of drive to do it too, because of that whole 3-2 thing that we're gonna end up having to bump into. it'll be interesting to see what the distributors kind of have to say to me with some of this 3-2 stuff. You know, again, this year, if any of it's dwindled more than it was.
I think that Patrick Bowling Alley, this is his second year getting the 3-2 license for the city plus the beer and wine, which adds to his licensure. So he can get more than just 3-2 from his distributors has really increased his traffic. So getting us to that level,
Yeah,
even though he's categories in bowling alley, which is different, but the golf course will be a huge advantage to them.
yeah. And I did have Greg Plumbing come this week or last week give me a second quote on what it would cost to put that sink in upstairs and sink downstairs, and, you know, some of that stuff. But he was gonna give it to me before I got here, but I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm curious to see what the second quote comes in at. But something to look forward to anyways. I thought about doing like, you know, some special fundraising that's specific for the food areas. I know a lot of people are kind of jonesing for that, so.
So in Malacca, there's a used kitchen place right on the highway.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I don't need anything fancy.
Yeah.
By no means.
But that just came up to me today. I'm thinking about places to look, you know.
Okay. Well,
We have golf board on the 17th.
Who can't get up?
Kevin.
I actually thought that the golf board meeting was.
Oh, my mistake.
I'd rather have it at 9, but I think it was written that.
Kevin can't do it.
Probably my mistake. I got you. It is 10.
It is 10
And I
o'clock.
think I just typed 9 from my own bad memory.
It's
So
10.
St. Patrick's Day, I understand you want to get that out of the way early.
you're correct. It isn't at 10. I put on the agenda 9. My apologies.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's something. Okay, anything else, Misty?
I don't think so, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Are we hiring?
Oh.
anyone?
Closer.
Yeah, we had Tyler Tracy, for the most part. I think she's committed. She's coming back,
Okay.
which is a huge win for us. And it sounds like she wants to kind of start learning a little bit more from Jim and learning some of the training stuff with that. So that's a big win. So she's coming back, and then we had 2 people apply just this week, which I haven't really looked at it yet. So otherwise, it's positive stuff.
Well, it's just nice to hear that we were, we're this much further ahead than we were last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it felt like last year, because I don't feel like I'm ahead right now. I feel like I'm climbing a grease wall. I just feel so stuck.
Well, you are.
I said that this morning after you left. And I know that it's very stressful, but we are 1,000 times better than we were last year. So we have staff to open this year.
Yes,
We didn't
we do.
have staff to open last year. So
Okay.
that's a win in my mind.
Oh,
Definitely.
so what do you got for staff outside?
We have 3 people, Jim, and then he's got 2 people. And it's, according to Jim, he would maybe like 1 other person, but I really need to kind of sit down and go over it. And talk to him about what our needs are. So, we're gonna figure out how many hours he needs on mowers and things like that, so.
Great.
Mhm.
How is that gonna work in the clubhouse? Is there still only 1 person the whole day?
Then we can move on. You,
I have a couple of things that need approval and then just some information. The first one is the revision of resolution 2201 for the annual appointments and designations. That is formally accepting the letter of intention from your new planning commissioner. So all I need is authorization on that. I did include John's letter of intent in the packet for you to read. If you have any questions further for him, now's your chance. Otherwise, rubber stamp on it.
Wow. I'll make the motion to approve.
A second.
Oh, you can say it here. Resolution number 2022-01. We have a second, so any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none? Passed.
Your name's already.
Like that?
It's like she knew we were gonna do it.
Item B, Max, is Resolution 2207. This is a resolution reestablishing polling places for 2022. You may remember at the work session, I provided to the council the maps of representatives, House, Congressman's representation of the city of Blackduck after the census. Due in part to that precinct boundaries being changed, our county needs a formal resolution adopting what our polling place is, regardless of it not changing for us, but they need a formal resolution reestablishing it based on the precinct boundaries. So it's
Yeah.
approved on their behalf.
Yeah.
We know we're not moving. Still gonna be
Still
right
not
here.
splitting city in two.
Nope. Nope, there are some changes in some other entities in the county, but not us.
We want to make a motion on that?
Motion to approve 2022-07 resolution reestablishing the polling places. 2022
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed.
Item C for council information is the revised letter of conditions between the city of Blackduck and USDA for the Public Works, Public Safety Project funding. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, Mayor Goulet and myself will be meeting with Representative Angela Bacavoy from USDA. We were able to meet with TNT Construction, with Seth, and other representatives of the city to value engineer the project down $138,000 to meet up with the additional funding for the project. And all the paperwork got in, and Angela called me this morning and she said it already got approved. So she was able to send this letter of conditions for us to move forward with. Once these are run through with her tomorrow morning, Max, and signed and sent to her, then the city can officially tell TNT and give them the bid award, and they can lock in their subs. So we're on track at this point. Moving forward.
Nice.
Thank you. So nothing approved here, but the preliminary feasibility report. Some of you that were here prior to this was done by WITSEF. That has all the spelled out details of costs. That's been revised by Steve Rose as well. And that had to be sent to USDA's. Any questions?
Nope, I'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, great. Item D, just for council information, is a letter of support I received from the owner of Corner Garage Sales and Rental, Mr. Kevin Erpelding. I've been working hard with DPS to get an answer on our limited DMV request from last March. And I've reached out to our congressman, our representative, and our senators, as well as the county, for some hard support to push DPS to give us an answer. I can just state that it's tied up in some political decision at this point, so I'm pushing it as hard as I can with the influence I can find, and this is one of them. Any questions?
Got more push?
I think so. Been on the phone with a lot of people, so
All right,
we'll just see.
He's having a lot of wish.
We'll just see.
all right.
Other than that, I just have some dates. Obviously, March 10th, or excuse me, let me start again. March 9th, this Wednesday, 11 o'clock is the next meeting of the Blackduck Development Board located here at City Hall. Also, March 9th at 1 o'clock is the testified in front of the Minnesota House Tax Committee hearing for the local sales tax bills. So I will be testifying in front of a lot of people about the support we need for our local sales tax. I hope the city council sent people emails to Brandon since our work session. Okay. March 16th at noon is the next meeting of the Blackduck Area Chamber of Commerce. That one's going to be held at and also March 16th at 2 o'clock is the next meeting of the Planning Commission here at City Hall.
And we'll just be using last month's.
I did revise the agenda.
Okay.
And I have that prepared and Paige will have that ready for you. You will need to introduce and
Absolutely.
Yep. Then on March 17th, I believe is the next meeting of the Kitchen County Library Board, Lauren.
Yes.
Okay. The 21st at 6 o'clock would be the next scheduled work session here at City Hall. Paige will be facilitating that for the council. And then April 4th at 6 o'clock is the next regular scheduled council meeting. I'd just also like to note that today we started the 2022 round of rental inspections for all of our rental units in town. Andy Sharp is in town working today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and he'll be returning again April 4th to the 6th to finish up most of the single family rental homes. Right now, he's doing all the multi-families.
Okay.
And that's it for me, unless anybody has any questions for me about anything. Concerns?
Still looking for volunteers.
For what?
Bingo.
Oh, for bingo?
For bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo is March 20th.
I tell you, it's a lot
It's
of
a
fun
1
if you have time. It's a good time.
Sell cards.
So cards, yeah.
You leave that for me.
Must be very involved.
French fry too.
You know, it can be a lot of fun if you guys just have a couple of hours to spare for the day. I mean, we enjoy doing it. It's-
Well, I've already volunteered, Melissa.
Are you working?
That's her weekend off.
Chamber meets on the 16th though, and it's not until the 20th.
Hopefully there'll
It's
be.
their baby, they'll find someone.
They'll find someone.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Anything? Good news? Oh, anniversaries?
You know what, kind of slipped the ball on that one. I bet you there's a lot of them and I've probably
it's
missed the
all right.
last 3 months, including my own.
I just didn't know if I was missing singing happy.
No,
Should we sing happy birthday to Misty? Since
You can do it at the golf board meeting. There you go.
You don't want to record it?
Yeah.
Come on. Where's your spirit?
I'll be
And,
seeing him.
motion to adjourn, someone?
Motion to adjourn.
There we go. Seconded.
who's second? Tom did.
Yep,
7:06.
we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good.
I was gonna play you today and I never did. I talked to Bobby, Joe, and she said to get your login and password.
Yeah, she called me.
Okay, so I can just go
So
on. there and
all
just look.
fast.